I'll tell you what, after all this build-up, I'm just saying they got a lot of hype to live up to. Welcome to the jungle, everyone. I'm Kyle Phelps, and I'm a football addict. Seriously though, my channel is now a support group for football addicts, which is, I think, a pretty easy transition from already kind of being my support system for just being a Bengals fan and all of the pain and heartache that entails. But anyway, instead of trying to break the addiction, we're gonna feed it, because that's what you do with addictions, right? The NFL season might be over, but we've got XFL football now, baby. Before we get into that, I'd just like to ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. It really helps my channel grow, and it helps you know when all of my content drops. Alright, so a bit of a recap before we dive into this 2023 XFL Season Preview. The XFL has only had one season so far, and it got cut short due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The league actually only got through 5 weeks of its planned 10-week regular season, so officially there was never any champion or anything like that. I think we can all agree that the Houston Roughnecks ought to have some sort of like gold sticker or something for being the only undefeated team left through 5 weeks. But at the same time, I think it'd be pretty weak to call them the champions by that measure. I mean, they were definitely the best team through the first 5 weeks, but if we crown the best team through the first 5 weeks, then I mean the Bengals would have like more than 0 championships. After the rest of the season was canceled, players from every squad were released from their obligations and allowed to sign with anyone. Basically, it was a giant free-for-all, the likes of which many an offline Madden player have dreamed about in the NFL for years. My Bengals actually tied for the most former XFL players on their preseason roster in 2021 with Eric Dungy of the Dallas Renegades, Jaquez Patrick and Reese Horn of the Tampa Bay Vipers, and Khalil McKenzie of the LA Wildcats. None of those guys made the final roster, but as far as I can tell, only Wildcats quarterback Josh Johnson and Roughnecks quarterback PJ Walker went on to do anything notable at the next level. The league was supposed to return in 2021, but they didn't for a variety of reasons, mostly bankruptcy, although it initially sounded like the league planned to return in 2021. That never happened. They suspended operations and laid everyone off in April 2020, and things went quiet in 2021, and in February of the following year, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson bought the league for a $15 million price alongside Redbird Capital. They set their sights on returning for 2022. Although, allegedly the plan for that was to partner with the Canadian Football League, but a deal never really materialized, so much for that idea, right? But after all that, the league is finally gearing up to play a full season in 2023. I'll tell you what, after all this build-up, I'm just saying they got a lot of hype to live up to. So now we have a completely different XFL landscape ahead of us, guys. Not only are so many of the players different now, but some of the teams are different too. In 2020, we had the aforementioned Renegades, Roughnecks, Wildcats, and Vipers. In addition, there was also the St. Louis Battlehawks, the Seattle Dragons, the DC Defenders, and the New York Guardians. In 2023, we're going to have the Battlehawks, Defenders, Roughnecks, all returning in their original form. Seattle too, but they're now the Sea Dragons instead of just the Dragons, I guess, and also their logo looks dumb now. Like, I liked them before, but I'm not feeling like there's new incarnation quite as much. In addition, the Renegades are returning, but they're now in Arlington, the Guardians are in Orlando, and the Vipers are in Vegas. Finally, the LA Wildcats are just apparently totally defunct, like, entirely. They're being replaced by a brand new squad, the San Antonio Brahmas. So, I know what all y'all are thinking. What team are you a fan of, Kyle? I mean, do I even really have to push it this late in the episode? I know y'all are here for the main event, right? Alright, well, I'm happy to report that I have officially adopted the St. Louis Battlehawks as my favorite XFL team. Why? Well, in 2020, I was kind of indecisive about which team I was going to pick, right? I loved the Seattle uniforms and their logo at the time, and I kind of wanted to see them win. Although, I'm not going to lie, nothing else about that team really excited me at all. Alternatively, I also like the Battlehawks uniforms, like that black and blue kind of like, color scheme. I kind of like that. and their story of giving professional football back to the city of St. Louis. You know, in the past, my whole thing has really been like, I hate it when teams move. Even the Cleveland Browns, I was really not a big fan of them moving because I'm like, man, that's so shitty to those fans in Cleveland. Like, they just lost their football team for really no reason. But anyway, that plus Jordan Ta'amu, he was really fun to watch in his first season in the XFL. This year, with the reshuffling of the rosters, I noticed that former Bengals legend AJ McCarron, you know, the guy who back in 2016, every casual Bengals fan on the planet swore up and down we would have gone 16-0 with if he'd been allowed to start in place of Andy Dalton. Yeah, that guy, he's now the starting quarterback of the St. Louis Battlehawks. You know, in spite of all those obnoxious Bengals fans of the past, I still love me some AJ McCarron, so you can bet your ass I'm rooting for him this year, and I guess I'm rooting for the same team who now 2 years in a row I'm rooting for, so I guess that makes me a Battlehawks fan now, right? So say it with me, guys. Go St. Louis Battlehawks! Beat the team the Brahmas who you beat in you playing first in 2023. Yeah, woo! And we probably need a new chant, right? Something nice and concise, like hooday. Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it. I like that. I'll tell you what, though, this year the XFL is probably going to be a lot more entertaining than the last one, guys. The novelty value, I think, is what kept a lot of us interested last time, but this year you've got McCarron, you've got Ta'amu, Brett Hundley, Ben DiNucci, Paul Dawson. Seriously, PJ Dawson, good for you, man. You love to see it. Will Clark, also love to see that. Marquette King, Josh Gordon, Paxton Lynch, Vic Beasley, Matt Elam, Martavis Bryant, Kalen Ballage. Guys are just littering XFL rosters. They didn't make it work in the NFL for whatever reason, but they still have a ton of talent. And still others who I didn't even mention. So, my plan this NFL offseason is pretty much going to be this, guys. I'm going to be keeping up with big NFL topics like I normally do. I'm going to be doing Bengals videos, you know, mainly off-season team building videos, which is probably going to be the next one I put out, right? But I'm also going to keep up with the XFL and probably the USFL too in the summer, depending on how well these videos do. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Which team are you adopting? And I'll feature the best one in my next video, like this one from Cy Soul, who said in my Bengals 2022 recap video, of course, after the AFC Championship, I was very disappointed, mostly in missed opportunities by the team. But once that cleared away, I was able to appreciate the season and remain optimistic about the future. Always proud to be a Bengals fan. Hooday! I love it, Cy. It really does suck to make it that far and come up short at the end of the day, but I'll say the same thing that I said after we lost Super Bowl last year, right? I would rather see them on the biggest stage at the end of every season and at least having a shot at glory, rather than the mediocrity and futility that I've seen from this team for pretty much most of my life, right? But we've got a lot more football to watch this offseason and a ton of team building to go through for the Bengals. Until then, y'all can always catch more of what I do at Kyle Phelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePhelps, Butt Fumble Sports, the Battle of Ohio podcast, which is on the Spot Pod Network, and right here if you subscribe. That's it for me this week, y'all. Normally, I'll leave y'all, as always, with a hooday! But in the spirit of the XFL season, which kicks off this weekend, I'll leave y'all with, from what I can tell, is apparently the chant that St. Louis Battlehawks fans have chosen to adopt, which is just going, "Caw-caw!"